Hi everyone, it's Suzanne from the Paper Variety. If you're like me, you've been checking out all of the new CHA releases, and one of my favorites are the Jelly Bean Soup collections. They always have so many cute embellishments that coordinate with their papers, and one of the ones that caught my eye were the rolled yarn blossoms, and I thought I could make those. So I thought I would give it a try today. I'm home today from a snow day. So I went through some of my old craft supplies and found some pink yarn, and I used my Plant and School book then to cut out some circles. This measures 2.5, and I found that to be a good size for a card, which I'm going to be using this on. So I cut this out with my on heavier beige cardstock. I actually use a manila file folder, and using my finger to cover all the edges. I already made one to test it out, and it turned out really cute. So the only thing I learned was just to make sure the edges get as much coverage as the center. While I'm going to start in the middle and then spiral out towards the outside, I'll tell you a little bit about the challenge going on at the Paper Variety that I will be using this card towards. I provided a quote for inspiration. The quote says, good friends are like stars. You don't always see them, but you know they're there. So we're asking that you create some kind of friendship project. You can use that specific quote for inspiration, or you can use another quote that's special to you on your project. Stop by the Paper Variety and see what the design team came up with. There are a few really great layouts that use the star quote. There's a layout that Mindy made that uses a bunch of different friendship quotes that meant something to her and pictures of her friends. Patty created a clipboard artwork to hang in her home, which has different quotes that she picked out. Beautiful, beautiful. So we hope we've inspired you this week to create something for a friend or about a friend that uses some kind of quote for your inspiration. So I thought with this card that I'm going to put this yarn fabric or yarn flower on, I would use the quote, if friends were flowers, I'd pick you, to go along with my embellishment. So it goes pretty quickly once you get started in the center, and I just am rolling and sticking and moving along here. We really hope you play along with this week's challenge. We have a new sponsor, Crop Chocolate, which is cropchocolate.com, and they post a daily deal on scrapbook product at a discounted price, and they're offering $50 in credit this week for our prize. So generous. So if you win, you will be able to purchase some of these new releases coming out a little bit at a time with that great deal site. So we hope you play along, maybe even inspire you to make one of these flowers. I know I'll be buying plenty from Jelly Bean Soup, but I thought until then, I bet I could make one. Now, depending how close you are to the center, it'll work out a little bit better, but once it's dry, you could always trim down any excess cardstock you have showing. And then I'm going to embellish the center with a button as they did, and then maybe even add some leaves to my card. These would make really cute lollipops as well if you were doing a candy type page. So I'm going to just trim that off there and peel it off my scrap paper here. Okay, and then you can just tuck in the edges, add a little bit more glue, like that, and there you have it. Okay, then you can embellish these any way you want. I just grab my buttons, grab my button container. I'm going to choose some buttons, and I'm going to use this new hemp cord that I picked up. It was in the jewelry section of Joann's. It says Jewelry Designer, and this is 30 feet of the craft colored hemp, and I think it was only a few dollars, not more than $2, I'm sure of it. So I'm going to use that and my buttons, and I'm going to die cut some leaves to go with it, and I'll come back and show you my finished card. Here's my finished card. I really love how it turned out. I used some scraps from my Green at Heart Basic Gray 6x6 paper pad, and I just cut a strip 4 1/4 by 3 for the top, 4 1/4 by 1 for the bottom. Used my Martha Stewart lace, doily lace punch. Oops. Which makes a huge mess, but it's so pretty. I used that punch for the border here, and then I printed out on the computer, "If friends were flowers, I'd pick you," in a script type font, and then added that underneath, and I tied my bow. I added the twine button in the orange to bring out the colors in the pattern paper. Like I said, that was the twine that I used. And I just freehanded these green leaves and inked them in brown, and I inked the outside of the card in brown too. I really like how it turned out, and I hope this card inspires you to make some of your own embellishments and join in our friendship challenge over at the Paper Variety. Remember, our sponsor this week is Crop Chocolate with a $50 credit to their store. Hope to see you there.